Hello there. This is going to be a video demonstrating the IceShard Hydra build. Um, very quick build, very fast build. Right now I'm clearing pit 60 pretty easily. So we're going to run this pit real quick and then I'll do the breakdown. I do have a whisper. I don't know how many minutes are left. 2 minutes. Oh, it's not going to work. I'm going to miss it. Oh well, I'll skip it this time. Um, oh, what the hell. Let's see if I get it. So, go this first. Yeah, resources. And yeah, okay. All right. Now let's see. Set my autocast on. That's not what I want. Make sure I got everything in a row. That there, that there. Mm, that there, that there, that there. And you want. I'm not gonna make that. Let's see here. Do we want that there? We don't need that. Okay, let's do this. Let's do that there. We'll teleport here. Okay. All right. Let's see. We still have time. I wonder if it's going to mark it. We're going to do pit 60. I will explain what this build is like in a moment. Let's go ahead and reset the auto casting. Auto cast that, that, and that. Okay. So here we go. Basically, what this build is, you don't run out of mana, more or less. Okay, as you can see, it pretty quick. Should be. I'm not doing that beam correctly. Basically, oh, get out of that. Idea is to get that beam on everybody, and they go down fast. As you can see, no mana issues whatsoever. Let's go this way. And I'm casting Hydra above the 50% mark, which with my elemental dominance will give me 12% increased damage when skills are cast above 50%. We'll go over that in a second. It does take something to get used to, because you don't want to spam Hydra, obviously, and you also want to move around where the beam is on top of. I'm just going to clear these guys real quick. Oh, there you are. What do you think we're doing? Okay. Oh, I did. There we go. Reset that. Okay. So, of course, I'm doing this kind of sluggishly. The idea is there's a lot of damage going out, mostly from this beam, if you can get those beams on mobs correctly. This build has a lot of damage resist, barriers up almost all the time because you're casting a whole bunch of different things. Now, you probably saw that I had the lightning spear. Why do I have lightning spear in this one? I want to do a stun effect on these mobs, as well as, frozen from Mystic, uh, from the Frost Nova. Igni Thol. I don't have Igni though, but Thol rune. Um, and so massive amounts of CC going along. Oh, I need to get that reset. I'm going to try to cruise around these guys here. Oh, let's see. And I am spamming Hydra a little bit more than I should. I don't need to, so that's one thing I gotta get used to. Again, we want to cast Hydra when we are at the maximum. I am going so slow in this. Very simple build. We want to cast Hydra above 50% as much as we can. Again, I am going slow because of the fact that I'm not using my beams all that much. So there's a lot of things going on. This might not be a build for you, but primary thing is we want to make sure that the mobs getting in this the beams here. Very simple build. So that's a little slow. Rhythm. This build is really all about rhythm. Um, max mana pool, Hydra. Max mana pool, Hydra. So Hydra, ice shards, Hydra, ice shards, ice shard, beams. Just a bunch of things going on. As you can see, I already have my glyphs above 45 or 46, and we'll want to focus on some of that. Now, the this build is based off of the max rolls version. Max roll will have the axial conduit and the staff, I believe, um, and the that's going to use Shaco later on. Shroud of the Shroud as well. It foregoes the raiment, so you're going to see what I can do to compensate for the lack of raiment. Mainly because we want to group mobs together, but you'll see here in a second. Right now, in the glyphs I have is going to be Conjurer for Conjuration, Flame Feeder, sorry, Flame Feeder for fire damage increase. We have Tactician for defensive damage modifiers. And then we have Pyromaniac, again, another um, increase to damage. We have Conjurer, which increases damage with conjured items, which is Hydra, as well as the Familiars, as well as the Lightning Spear. Elementalist, and you can tell what basically those are. So let's go back and break this little guy down. Back to town. My voice is going, so sorry about that. All right, equipment breakdown. With this build, we're gonna go back to the Hail of Verglass from season 8, and as you will know, excuse me, sorry, as you will know, this is the item for the Ice Shard builds in the past or in season 8. Increases damage by 1.6%, up to, in this case, 82.5%. I think the max is 100%. For every, let's see, shot damage an enemy for 5 seconds up to 82.5%. So we're using Samthol because I do not have Ignithol. But Samthol, obviously, every time I cast Evade, I will get Mystic, cast a Mystic Frost Nova. Going down to chest piece, we are not doing the raiments as previously said. However, there is a version of the build, I think Wudiju, I don't know how to pronounce his name, uses raiment in his build just to collect everybody and use and stack the glass cannon. I decided not to do that. I could try it, but I do need to have this additional armor because we are lacking in armor. As you can see, we are on Torment 4, and we are lacking armor. Although the barriers are almost up all the time, there's the fraction of a second where the barrier drops, you might get whacked, and boom, you're dead. So, um, until we get to the point where we're 100% barrier up all the time, we want to maintain armor. Again, maybe raiments in the future, but this is all going to be replaced by shroud, by the shroud. Okay, so now we go down to the gloves. We have in this case, we have the battle casters. Um, when your conjuration skills hit, you have a 45% chance to gain 1+1 rank to conjuration skills. Um, I think this goes up to 50%. I'm not sure. I don't remember. This is very, very important with with all these with the Hydra especially. So axial conduit is the next in this line. We do wear this one only because we want the resource generation and the resource increase, maximum resource, the increase of the maximum resource we can have. Also, this one is very good to have damage reduction as well. Again, we're looking for damage reduction in later games, in later pits, or towards the end game, or higher level pits, boss fights, and so on and so forth. Now, my take on it is in early games, before you get to pit 70 or 65 plus, you want to focus on all damage. Once you meet the minimum requirements of the tier, which is going to be the armor and the resist, once you meet the minimum requirements, which is in my personal opinion, it's going to be 65% or 60% or greater is a comfortable zone. Um, uh, Once you meet the minimum requirements, then you focus on all attacks. So now we're going to go down. That's what this axial conduit. We don't use chain lightning. I've tried it with chain lightning. It doesn't work. So that's all we need the axial conduit for. Now we have down to the wild bolt boots. This these boots, because we don't have remnants, we use wild bolt. Now the downside of this is that you do take damage, but the upside is you're going to have a lot of barrier, or you can have barrier up, and so this kind of negates the damage on these boots. Now, primary focus on this is we wanted to have reduced evade cooldown per attack that you do. So you're going to be constantly attacking. You're going to be constantly doing evade. The cooldown of the evade will happen. We also going to do the temper with evade cooldown and lucky hit chance, because um, that applies to all the the conjuration, the familiars, the hydras, and everything like that. So down here we have serpentine black rail, which is this season's aspect. This the hydra steal 1.2% more. I don't remember what the max is, but the bottom line is um, it consumes all your mana, which is the reason why you need the axial conduit. It consumes all of your mana, and then in this build, we will actually gain that mana back um, because of our shards. Now, that's interestingly enough. Now, okay, so over here on the right side, let's see, what are the tempers? Sorry, getting ahead of myself. Tempers are going to be the Hydra damage, Hydra heads. And as well as over here on the offhand, we do Hydra damage, Hydra heads. Now, why did we go with the main hand and offhand? Because we wanted to add the additional aspect of piercing cold. We could do something else, but in this case, we want to increase the damage from the ice shards as much as possible, since we're kind of hybriding this build with ice shard um, as well. Now, the main thing about this one that I showed you is the lucky hits. Uh, uh, because the ice shards are going out in abundance, we have a 15% to restore 70% primary resources. So that's we can actually use this on this item. It will get away with it and whatnot. If you do a staff, you will want that same thing on a staff, but it's not necessary. Um, we have Talrasha's loop. That's pretty much every sorcerer's base. Stormswell on a ring. This increased more damage. In this case, I only have 20% at this time. Yeah. And then the final, and let's see, what else do I need? I don't. Infernal cooldown, Hydra damage. If we can, any place that we can do Hydra damage is where we're going to put it. And then the final and the thing that's key to this new build this season is going to be the Ophidian's Iris, which is going to, create, basically it collects all your Hydras, makes 3 big heads that does more damage. And then any stacks of Hydra or any stacks of heads on for the Hydra, like that we get from down here, we have +2 heads here, we have +3 heads there. Any stacks above the 3, it will increase that damage even more so based on uh, based on whatever you have here for the aspect. 100% is the max. I have 95%. I think gave away 100 to one of my friends, but there you have it. Now, as far as the gems for this season, there is, for the first time this season, there is a gem where that if you take fatal damage, you will be immune and teleported to a different location. And excuse me, let me back that up. You will be teleported to a different location or warped or whatever whatever it is, um, and be immune for 3 seconds. Let's see here. I believe I have it here. There it is. Okay, if you would take fatal damage to prevent that damage, invoke propulsion and become invulnerable for 3 seconds. Okay, you don't get teleported. You get a speed increase to run through everything, and you become invulnerable for 3 seconds. Unfortunately, I have not discovered that recipe yet, so that's what we have. In here, we're going to go down to skills based. Actually, well, I'll go ahead and switch over to the browser version. I'm using the D4 plan on max roll. Over here, we start out with the basics of the fire bolts, 2 stacks, whatever. We go down to the ice shards, all the way down to greater ice shards. This one, I chose this one for barrier, increased damage while I have a barrier. I could use the vulnerability, but I don't need it because the enemies, the mobs will get will have a vulnerability. I can't speak. Vulnerability applied to them when they're attacked anyway. So I don't need that. I need the burial one. We do have the potent warding, definitely a must this season because the the sorcerers are a little bit more squishy until you get up to a higher point where you can have all the time barrier up. We have the elemental dominance. This is where I was saying earlier, where you have, when you cast above 50%, you gain, in this case, 16% increased damage. So that's increased damage with the hydras, increased damage with the ice shards, all that fun stuff. Now I go all the way down to, first of all, I maxed out the ice shards. Excuse me, I go all the way down to the teleport, shimmering teleport, because we want to make sure we have damage reduction when we teleport into a group of mobs. This will also activate a barrier when you cast a skill. We are foregoing the flame shield as this time around until we get to the Shaco, where we will get flame shield. Um, but in this build, we don't need it. Let's go ahead and switch it to Verglass there. There we go. And let's see here. Oh yeah, glass cannon, and then the ice armor. We're going to the mystical ice armor. We could go shimmering, but we don't need it all that much. We do need the mystical ice armor to add additional chill. Then our key and spotlighted skill is going to be the Hydra. Maximum stacks of that, we're going to invoke Hydra, gain critical strike damage and strike chance. We could do the Hydra also burns enemies for an additional 100% of base damage. Nah, but I don't want to do that. We're going to do ice blades all the way up to the invoked ice blades. In a build that I have where I actually, oh yes, 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 okay, in the build I have where I actually forego the axial conduit, and the serpentine on a staff. Instead, I use the Tybalt as well as staff. But why do we not use the serpentine? Well, I do instead shredding ice blades. I did a matching of the damage, and the damage is pretty much the same until I think we get up to pit 60 or above, pit 65 above, or when you get to harder content. But for survivability, when I went to ice shredding blades as well as the Tybalts, I actually never ran out of mana, and this into elemental dominance is full on up all the time. So we're gaining that percentage all the time. Back to this build though, we're going to do the come all the way out here to protection. Again, we need barriers and protection, alignment at one point in a line of the elements. Uh, Down here to the lightning spear. Why a lightning spear? Because we want to cast stun. We want to use the stun effect as well, as I mentioned earlier. We're going to primordial binding and the maxed out on primordial binding. Plus, we have 6 on this build from our gear, plus 6. And then we have mana shield. Now, I'm not a big fan of mana shield. I don't see, I don't actually see any use for it because I have barrier all the time. Um, But so we're going down here to inner flames, um, maxed out on inner flames, and then all the way down here uh, to the endless pyre. We have maxed endless pyre, max fiery surge, and then up here to the frost side, permafrost, icy touch, all maxed out. If we can figure out where we get additional points, maybe from the mana shield, we can max out this Hoarfrost. Um, Actually, you know what? I could try that now. Mm, okay, I'll think about it later. Um, we have elemental synergies that works really well with Telrashos. We have evocation um, cooldown, very big must. This is the change in this season. We have the combustion. Um, Last season I got up to 10,000% combustion damage for the infernal build. This one not so much. So we're going back over to the gems this season. Here's the if you want, you can do this one. If you decide if let's say if you decide that you don't need it because you're a superstar, avoid damage, avoid death, all that fun stuff. This you can go with a different sort of gem. What did I go with in this case? I went with was I already have that one. Arcana School of Denied Barrier or Denial. Sorry, School of Denial Barrier gain 30% more barrier, and then I use School of Power gain movement speed, 50 and 25% movement speed and 15% critical strike chance. Now that's mainly for my well, of course that applies to the Hydra as well as the ice shards. And there you have for this build. Let's see what else am I missing something? I use resource potions. I use the resistance all. Anyway, this build is a rhythm and flow type build. You pretty much have to get into the rhythm, casting Hydra, casting ice shards to get your mana back real quick, casting another Hydra, and then blast away ice shards while you're adding disintegrate. Oh yeah, that's what I need to do. While you're adding disintegrate, while you're trying to get your mobs between the disintegrate uh, or into the disintegrate beam. So that is my primary damage for this build is this disintegrate beam. With there is one of the gems, the boss power gem. I think. Oh, sorry. This what is it? Yeah, summons grow larger and 50% more. Is that right? Yeah. What is it? Oh, I forget which. Anyway, oh wait, I have it here. Let's see here. This one summons, and this one's okay. Catalytic skills. Infusion does 33% more damage. Causes 33% more damage to catalytic skills. So yeah, there you have it. And there's also another one in there. I'm not gonna go over. Anyway, that's it. Good luck. Have fun. Stay safe.